Good morning, my friends, and welcome back to episode 2 of Myst 3, Exile. If you want to skip ahead to the gameplay, there's the time code up there, but as a quick recap of what we did last week, we met up with Atrus and Catherine in apparently New Mexico, although we probably aren't supposed to know that yet. And we went to Atrus's library, and he has a new age where he's hoping to rebuild the Dani population, which is called Releshan, I think, something along those lines. His descriptive book has been stolen by apparently the actor that plays Grima Wormtongue in Lord of the Rings, so really looking forward to meeting him. And we have solved a light reflection puzzle, and so we have a room to go into that we've just unlocked. We have an elevator to go up, which we've not been up yet, and we have a puzzle solution from a journal that we haven't input yet. So I think those are our three main avenues of investigation right now. So let's get to it, and we're here, so we're going to start in this room. Well, this looks like an elevator as well, to be honest. Yeah, so in the chat this morning we have Artavelli. Good to see you. How has your week been? That sounded like the door closing, didn't it? Okay, we've got a symbol on the back of the door here. Fine. Straightforward enough to open that. Okay. Right, so we can interact with these. Ah, right, okay, yes. We can move these around in a circle. So there is a 4-digit code somewhere in base 8. I see. So you're going to pop these into their appropriate spots. And as is tradition, we're always going to take an initial guess, because who knows? One day we'll luck out on one of those puzzles. But yes. Oh, was that red light there before? But yes, clearly we don't have the code for that. So that's fine. Let's go to the elevator. Now, we rushed our way over here, right? The New Mexico thing isn't very important and actually isn't explained in-game, but if you read the books, especially the first book of Tiana, you realise that Dani is located on Earth. Huh, really? Interesting. Oh, great to hear you've had a good week. Yeah, oh, my copy of Book of Atrus is downstairs, actually. I have been, I've started it. I'm on to chapter 1. Atrus is a young man living with Anna currently. You know, oh, as I said in the YouTube comment section, right, I don't mind about book spoilers and lore spoilers, right? Like, this is... It's weird. I mean, this is a blind stream, but it's blind in the sense that we don't like puzzle solutions here. But we do not mind about lore spoilers and stuff, like, because, to be honest, I actually find that... this is going to sound deeply ironic, but I'm not a very good reader, in honesty. I feel like I don't read terribly well. It's something I've got very much out of practice on over the years. And so I do certainly find it's easier to read a book if I know what's going to happen in the books, because it helps me sort of visualize it. Like, I've always struggled with that with fiction books. By far the easiest fiction books I've always read, or I've always found the easiest fiction books to read, are fiction books where I've seen the movie already. And I don't know if that's... I genuinely don't know if that's a common... a common perception to have. But I find it a lot easier if I can visualise the actors and the sets that are used in the movie rather than trying to have to imagine it. And it lets me kind of take a bit of a shortcut in trying to imagine what's going on. So oh, here we go.
Atrus? Is that you?
It is him!
Come to rescue your book so soon? Not yet, old friend. Not yet.
What's that he's taken out? Okay, right. So we're back in, but what's he doing with the book? What's the giant egg? Okay. We have Spiper in the chat. Good morning to you. Good morning to you, and Meredith as well. I'm live before you've gone to bed. Love that terrible sleep pattern. Oof. That's a rough sleep pattern, that is. We'll want to memorise what happens here. Well, good thing I've got the tape to be able to reference. Oh, we could have tried opening the door before sending the lift down, actually, couldn't we? Yeah. I doubt the door's unlocked. Come on, send us back up. Send us back up. Yeah, certainly playing once a week has its own challenges to a degree. Yep. Definitely there's been the odd game where having the recording to be able to go back to has been of great benefit. Quern being a brilliant example. There are randomized audio clues in Quern that is, like, genuinely, unless you have just such a good memory, I have no idea how you'd be expected to solve a randomized audio clue if you can't remember it or if you didn't record it. Like, because there's no way to even note it down unless you're very good with music theory, I suppose. So, interesting, we have an external door. The external door is locked, so maybe that's a door which opens from the other side. Oh wow, we just passed straight across the glass there. Okay, interesting. So that's 2 of our 3 investigation threads. Invisible feet. Yeah. No, I'm sure this will be explained in a future episode, right, Artavelli? That you know, the mystery of who you are is actually you are a disembodied spirit, a poltergeist who is able to interact with the physical world but has no physical form themselves. That's my presumption, anyway. Pushing ourselves against the walls. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I kind of like how a lot of Star Wars and how the Force works can actually be explained away by the existence of ghosts in that universe. And because Force ghosts are genuinely a real thing that exist in that universe, so ghosts are clearly a thing. And actually, a lot of things you see the Force doing could literally just be ghosts. So, yeah, that's something to mull over. Okay. So we can go down here. This is our third avenue of investigation. Now, if I go and open up our notebook here. Now, where were we on our... Oh, no, we haven't even actually taken screenshots of it. Sorry, we're actually in game still, because we've got the notebook is... Wait, how do I... Ah, you right-click, okay. Nope. Right, let's take some screenshots here so we can get these all together. I'm going to take screenshots of all of these because I don't know at this point which of these are relevant and which ones are not. So let's take a screen grab of you and we'll pop that in here. And we'll take a screen grab of you. I'll move the screen onto my notebook in just a second. Just because when I'm going back and forth and taking a lot of screenshots at once, it is easier if the notebook's not on the screen. But I'll move it back onto the screen in just a second. We've got a picture of this mechanism. I don't think that mechanism looks like it's a clue, to be honest. And then we've got blank pages, which, to be fair, that's like well sus. If I was making a guess on why we've been given so many blank pages, I would say it's some kind of invisible ink, and it's going to be visible if we read the book in a certain room. But there we go. Okay, an Atrus's journal. That's not important. Okay, hang on, wait. How do I get... Ah, there we go. Right, that's what I needed to do. So, looking around here. Speaking of Star Wars, have I ever heard of Darth and droids? No, can't say that I have. Interesting. So we do have what looks like a pinwheel mechanism. We've got a thingy mechanism. Right, so let's bring up the notebooks I've got now. So we've got a mechanism which looks an awful lot like that. We do actually have a mechanism that looks an awful lot like this, yeah? Where you've got spring on this side, but actually spring pointing inside on one of them. So that's good. So that actually, it was a clue. Okay, we've got a sort of geometry puzzle here, and then we've got... Not really sure what these are, but hopefully they will be obvious when we find them. So... Ah, and we can move this around. Okay. Does it matter? Does it matter which one we put on which? Okay, and then we've got a sawtooth gear, we've got some cogs, and we've got this. Okay, so let's work on these one at a time, yeah? So, we want it in the lowest position, and then two medium position ones. Yeah, okay, so there are three positions there. So we want low, medium, medium. So that should be that one. let's assume that which one's which here, not important. So we want spring on... Yeah, we want spring on one and spring on the outside on the other two. Okay, so that's that one. This, what can we do here? Okay, you can move that in and out. Let's have a little look. So it's a sort of rack and pinion. It kind of looks a bit like that. Oh no, no, it looks more like this one here, doesn't it? So let's, yeah, so let's make sure that is engaged. So we want that engaged to there. And then we've got two cogs here. Interesting. So you want these so that the missing tooth is there. So that's the 4 clues we've been given. Let's see what happens now then. It's a long web comic made from shots from the Star Wars movies reinterpreted as a series of D&D campaigns going off the rails. Well, you know, I'm a big Star Wars fan and I'm a big D&D fan, so it does kind of sound like the sort of comic I would enjoy, to be fair. Yeah. Do you know what? I've not reliably read a webcomic in a long time, you know? I think, yeah. I used to read XKCD a lot, like every week, like I'd watch every single episode. Well, we're rotating this time, so the door's now going to be on the correct side. So that's progress. Yeah, I used to watch XKCD. What was the other one I used to read? It used to come out like literally every day. Ah, yeah. Oh, I was thinking to myself, yeah, can't stick your arm through those gaps. But actually, oh yeah, that's actually a problem. Well, he gone. Do you know what? I think it's actually a really genius piece of lore design that you can escape via a linking book or a description book, but the book stays behind. So I think that's really cool. The way the characters have to come up with these contrived ways to... Yeah, we can close that behind us. You know, we've played enough of these games to know that, like, behind the door is usually the answer to at least one puzzle. Oh, that just activates the lift backwards and forwards. That's cool. If I open this door now... Yes! No! What? Yes! Take that. Yes, closing the door. Sometimes when you close a door, you open another door. That's the Cyan world's way. Oh, it's just a shortcut. You're right. This is literally just the door on the outside of the building, isn't it? Okay. Fine. Man, I thought that was like a proper big brain move there. Although I do notice there's a different button on this side. But no, this is just to call the lift if you Yeah, no, this is just to call the lift from both sides because the lift spins for some reason. When you use linking books, you come to appreciate being able to close doors behind you. What happens if I activate that whilst I'm standing in here? Because these call the lift up. But no, it's smart enough to know not to do that when there's someone standing in here. Yeah, this game was not actually made by Cyan. Do you know what? Like, it's one of the most awkward parts of the Riven playthrough is where we find a path behind doors that we've just closed, and then we're like, you got me again, and then immediately fall for the same trick in literally the next room we go in. Like, yep, that's a thing that happens. Oh, hey, Atrus.
My sons, I promised to teach you the secrets of my ages.
Oh, blimey.
This world is the first step on your journey. Search the island, and you'll find 3 linking books. Each connects to an age in which you will learn.
Hello, Atrus. Been a long time. Sorry I'm not there to greet you in person, but I just didn't think it would be wise, considering how long I've been stuck here. Trapped in these lesson ages by 2 very greedy little boys. Your sons, Atrus.
Nice.
Cirrus and Achenar. Of course, they're not so little anymore, not so innocent. I thought a lot about innocence these last few years and what happens when it gets lost. Worried about relation?
Relation.
I have it. Worried about friends, relatives, people you can't get back. I know just how you feel. But if you want to do something about it, you're gonna have to open this device. And there's just one problem. I've changed the 3 symbols that do that. So if you want to reclaim relation, you're gonna have to take your own class. Find the 3 symbols, Atrus. And don't keep me waiting forever.
I like it. I like the simplicity of it. I mean, it's great to see. I can't remember the actor's name, but Grima, brilliant to see him hamming it up in a Myst recording. Love it. I kind of like and don't like the conceit of puzzle games. When a puzzle game is, I have arranged a series of puzzles to test your ability, right? Which is essentially the entire plot of Quern. It's in the one hand, like, I appreciate the simplicity of it, right? Yes, we're not worrying too hard about the plot here. We're not worrying too hard about the reason these puzzles exist. But at the same time, on the other hand, it is a very straightforward plot. So there are 3. Oh, okay, we've got a thing. Brad Dourif. Oh, interesting. Oh, that's focus. Love it. A lack of puzzle integration. Yeah, I guess, yeah, that's sort of one way to... Oh, okay, so... Right, so we've got zoom in, zoom out on there. We must have something else here, right? And then you got your pan around, okay. So zoom me out for now. Wait a minute, what's this looking at? That looks like it's something, doesn't it? Okay, so it's a sort of symbol matching thing, and I assume all 3 of these are going to be the same. We're up against a Mentat this time. Wait. Was he in the 1984 Dune? Do you know what? Oh my god, you're right. That's the same guy, isn't it? Because he's also the guy from Alien Resurrection. For some reason in my mind, I'd kind of thought those were two different people. But you're absolutely right. Yeah. Oh man, do you know what? Well, I've spoken before on the stream about how much I love Dune, right? And Dune is a really good example of a book that's made way easier having watched the movies and yeah, having watched like all of the movies and stuff. But yeah, because I've been a big fan of Dune for a long time, having never read the book, right? I've watched the movies and I've played the board game and I've watched Matthew Colville play the Dune board game for like 10 hours on his stream, and like the Dune board game I absolutely love. It's like my second favourite board game of all time. But yeah, you're right. He is the Mentat, isn't he? Yeah, he plays Petor. Okay, right. So it is 3 symbol matchings. If I play the message again, do I see Atrus's message? Because I'm kind of interested in what he has to say to his sons. He's looking a touch younger as well.
My sons, I promise to teach you the secrets of my ages. This world is the first step on your journey. Search the island, and you'll find 3 linking books. Each connects to an age in which you will must perform.
Yeah, no, okay. No, it is just escape out of that. That's great. Now, this pool that we saw him fiddling around with. He pulled something out of something else and put it here to raise that, didn't he? But okay, we need to go to the 3 ages, looks like. Let's just go with this one first. So it looks like we're symbol matching somehow. So we'll start by panning all the way out and having a look around. Yes, yeah, he's definitely looking younger, quite right. Ah, so there's not actually very much. Not very much to pan round onto. That seems to be like a pretty sensible spot to try and put it on. But what am I supposed to do with it once it's... I'm not really sure. I imagine it's something like that, though. But then again, we have a 4-dial puzzle in the room that we've unlocked, right? So I'm not 100% convinced that lining it up with that door is actually the solution, of course. So let's check out the other ones as well. Start by zooming out all the way. But yeah, if any of you guys haven't played the Dune board game, I would highly recommend it. It's very much kind of a game that it treats the lore of the game almost as more important than the gameplay in the game, let's say. And it's a really good asymmetric... Oh, hang on, wait. It's a really good asymmetric multiplayer game. The only game I've played that I've really enjoyed more was See, that looks very close, but it's not quite there, is it? Twilight Imperium would be the only game that I've played that I've really enjoyed, like, more. Oh yeah, very rare to have a game that cares about its lore so strongly. But yeah, like there's a really sharp. There's a music cue that happened both when I lined that one up and when I lined this one up here. Did you guys hear it? I want to line this up on here and see if that changes the state of the room. And you know what I'm also going to do? I'm going to take a screenshot of where these dots currently are and see if that's an answer to what we believe is a lift inside that room. Yeah, so to give you a flavour on Dune, right? So you've got it's a sort of dudes on the map game. There's 2 phases to each round. There's the treachery phase where you're bidding on items, and and then there's like a movement and combat phase. And every faction has a different ability that effectively lets them ignore certain rules. So the bidding is done blind. You don't know what you're bidding on. Okay, that was a weird musical cue. The bidding's done blind. You don't know what you're bidding on, except the Atreides, who, using their limited prescience, are able to know what everyone's bidding on, and thus are able to know who has what item, and no one else does. Oh shoot, we need the code again. Hang on. The Emperor, their ability is the fact that every time someone bids on something, it's not the bank that gets paid for it, it's the Emperor that gets paid for it. So they end up rolling in huge amounts of money, but they're not able to transport any of their troops anywhere without paying the Spacing Guild to transport their troops, right? The Fremen are the only faction that don't have to pay to have their troops transported, because they live on Arrakis anyway, right? So you have all of these kind of conceits to the lore of the story in the rules of the game, and it's a shockingly well balanced game, considering that yeah, so we've got a cage up there, and we've got like a dove. There's definitely a shadow going on, isn't there? Yeah, I can see the tail. I can see the tail of the thing that we did. So I reckon maybe I don't know. It's a little bit sketchy, but we'll give it a go. Something like this? No. I mean, we can try like the closest on point spots, something like that. Or that one. No, not quite. Okay, that's not it. And that's not something to interact with. I mean, the alignment might not quite be there, but it... Maybe we need it a little bit further over? I don't know. Let's fiddle with it for a little bit. Yeah, it sounds a bit like chess if everyone had different pieces. Yeah, totally agree. It's best played with 6, and it's not too long a game, right? I think Twilight Imperium is the better game, because that also has like way more factions and it's way better balanced. And the game is a lot more consistent in its timing. Like, Twilight Imperium is a very long game, but it's kind of consistently long. Whereas I would say one of the weaknesses of Dune is that you genuinely don't know how long it's going to take. Like, you can end up in a situation, depending on, like, when the sandworm turns up and stuff. I've played a game which was, like, a hair away from actually a turn 1 win. And we were very, very close to having, like, the game done in 45 minutes. Or it could take all day. So you kind of have to, like, budget an entire day to play it, but there's no guarantee that you'll actually get an entire day of gameplay for that. It's very strange. Yeah, very strange. Yeah, the focus is a tricky part, isn't it? But the fact that that can fit so nicely in there... It doesn't look like a bird, though, does it? It looks far more like a fish. But that can fit so nicely in there. And this one can fit so nicely in there. But this one... Oh! Oh, we've got notes on the floor! Oh, well, we should definitely look at these. Okay. So, for those of you on YouTube in the future, you can skip to here if you want to skip the reading. Cirrus and Achenar. The walls run red with steam and strangeling branches. I see their bloated faces laughing at everything. I remember how they lied. I remember what they did. They brought me here to die. I followed them. The lattice roots were black from too much overgrowth. Puffer spores floated up in the hot steam and burst. No one was there to guide the spores to the branches. No one was waiting to perform the ritual weaves. The fighting had torn my people apart. They didn't care. They didn't care. They wanted Narian to die. I have done it. I have used his swirling linking book to follow him. I touched my palms to its glowing panel and felt the tingling begin. There was a sudden sickening lurch inside my stomach. Then I fell into the page. This has happened before, I know it. It happened the first time I came to this place, when I followed his murdering sons from Narian. It happened when I used his hidden books, and it happened when I finally opened the machine, right before the fog ate my mind. The fog didn't find me this time. When I opened my eyes, I was alone in a room. I was standing in the home of my betrayers. I couldn't move. I was afraid. I thought they'd know I had come, and that it would be waiting for me, just like they'd waited inside this very tusk. I was afraid they would tie me up again, that the poison snakes would strike. That's a good reference to Myst 1. Snake in a box! Surprise snake. But the silence was unbroken, the whole house was still, and without really knowing what I did, I started to search every room, every floor, every cabinet. I found his journals, Atrus never-ending journals. I found the book that brought me back to this world, the lesson world he calls Janamin. Oh, Tamra, my love, how long have I been trapped here? How much of my life has been eaten by the fog? Oh, sorry, it's extra... Oh, it's extra pages on something he's already... Oh, you're absolutely right. Okay. Wait, so how do I tell what pages are the extra pages? We've read that page. We've got that. We've got that. It brings you to the new pages automatically. Right, okay. Fair enough, fair enough. Okay. Oh, right, hang on. Let me just ditch the hoodie. Okay. It was the first bit I read about the spores and stuff. Right. I don't know, yeah. Doesn't feel tremendously pertinent, but yeah, okay. So what we don't really appear to have in this window is a clear... We don't really seem to have one of those doors available in this window. Which kind of makes me think that's not so much the solution. We can really only see the bridge and the bit of ground near the bridge. Maybe we need to explore that area a little bit and see if we can see something there. We'll find 10 more of those pages. Okay, that's good to know. So we're basically... It's not this bridge we're looking out on. I'm pretty sure it's that bridge we're looking out on. Yeah? And what we sort of have is like an oval shape. Well, I mean, that looks very much like that, doesn't it? But that's not in... We can't quite reach that. Oh, hang on a minute. If I look at that tusk, we've also got a black thing on top of that as well. Which we also can't quite reach by panning the camera around. Yeah, with the big tail on it. So okay. So I think we know... Oh man. This soundtrack is definitely a little extra, isn't it? I mean, I love a good choral soundtrack as much as the next guy. But... Okay, let's fiddle with this one first. Oh, it's... Oh, hang on. Oh, no, we can definitely do that. No, hang on. Focus. Sort of like... Sorry, excuse me. Oh dear. Winter hits hard, doesn't it? It feels like I've had a cough for ages. I just read an article the other day that whooping cough is making is doing the rounds at the moment in both the US and the UK, and it's just like, oh man, just yeah. Why not? Let's add some Victorian illnesses to our to the stuff we have to deal with, eh? Something like this. And if I were to guess, I would assume it's that. Right, so let's screenshot that. Okay. So we're just gonna delete you. We're gonna put you in here instead. Now, So let's have a look at these others then. So there should be a yeah. But how do you... That's weird. It was like we couldn't pan to it, but then by zooming in and out, we now are able to pan to it. That's strange, isn't it? I don't know. Maybe that's just me being a bit, a bit dubiously handed with the controls. Okay, well, it's not that way. It's somewhere around there. I would hazard a guess. So let's take a screenshot of that one. Like this is kind of between two ferns there, but okay. And then the last one. So if I zoom out all the way, I cannot get over there. Oh, but as you zoom in, you can... That's weird, isn't it? So as you zoom in, the amount you pan can increase. Interesting. Okay. Let's take it out a little bit. We sort of want it about there, I guess. That looks pretty good to me. Well, one of those three, we are probably able to enter right now. The other two are going to need a little bit of thought about how to get to them, I reckon. So I think we go for the obvious one first, right? We can have a little look over at this tusk. Now I would say that a good place to have a look is actually going to be at the base of the tusk. Because all the other two have entrances below those windows. Yeah. Now we can get up here. But I'm sort of looking for a sneaky path round the side. Like that looks like. You know what I mean? Or like that could be. Or like that could be. But it does not look like there is a sneaky path here. So let's go over to the tusk and see if we can see anything from this side. Okay, well, it's not round the back of the tusk. Oh, wait a minute. Right, we totally have a door, but we have a thing... I'd forgotten about this, to be honest. We totally have a door, but we have a thing in the way of the door. And I'm really not sure what that is, to be honest. But we definitely can't get over it. I don't see any obvious buttons or switches. So, let's... Yeah. Let's not worry about that one too much right now. We're going to put that in our solve later pile. Now, we're going to run an ad fairly soon. So let's quickly skip over to... Let's quickly skip over to the next one here. So, getting our code back up. It is yellow, blue, green, red, yellow, purple, red. And we'll open that up. And let's go and have a look at our fish puzzle. So, it's going to be something like that. So let's go, and the innermost one is round to here. The third one is straight to the bottom. This one, I believe it's around about there. And here, we've got this one. So let's try that out. Didn't quite work. Adjust it slightly. Oh, shoot. That's not it. Okay. Let's try moving these up and down, because the focus is not exactly an exact science, you know? What have we done wrong there? Interesting. Right, well, we are going to prep ourselves for an ad right there. In the meantime, we're going to make our way back to the other room, and we're going to check our maths. Okay, so ad is running there. But just to save a little bit of time, we're going to go back to the main room so that we're ready to check our solution for that one. I feel like we've got probably the right answer, but it's not quite maybe in focus entirely. I'm not sure. There's definitely a lot of slack on the focusing controls. Don't know. Just hoping we don't have to brute force it too hard, because with 4 degrees of freedom, there's actually quite a lot of combinations, right? Like even if you were choosing 4 degrees of freedom with having oh, you were only given a single ad. Fair enough. Yeah, well, we'll wait for the whole ad break to be done, for sure. So we'll just come back here and we'll check our solution on that in just a minute. Well, Artavelli, I don't think you have an ad, because I think... Oh, you didn't get an ad at all. I know you were certainly subbed at one point, Artavelli, so maybe you're still just not getting ads. Lucky. or maybe advertisers have just realised that, you know, Myst 3, not exactly an advertising hotspot. I mean, to be fair, I think it's pretty Wild West, to be honest, Artavelli. I mean, like, who does really understand how Twitch works? I don't know. It's I think ads, if it's anything like YouTube, I have a sort of vague understanding of how YouTube ads work, or how Google AdSense works, and it's effectively just a bunch of ad bots bidding against each other for ad slots on different channels, and your channel has a score essentially based on how many people watch your videos, but also like their demographics, and then the bots try and outbid each other for a particular demographic audience. So certainly with like Google for Google ads, for example, if your audience is younger, those ad slots apparently are more valuable per viewer. So, it's one of those things. Don't know. Certainly with the kind of things that my daughter watches on YouTube, and bear in mind she's like 19 months old or something like that, the sort of things she watches on YouTube, the ads are very much targeted towards younger children, which kind of makes sense given the content she watches. So the ads are definitely tailored to the average audience of the video content rather than, yeah. So I imagine, like, well, on Twitch you have to set a category for what you're streaming, and so I can imagine setting that category kind of lets advertisers know broadly what it is you're going to be streaming. Okay, the panning. So the panning is the outermost two, right? So the panning I'm pretty confident on. The zoom. Wait, the zoom is this one. Yeah. And that looks like it doesn't really have much slack to it. The zooming, the focusing though, we could probably do a little bit better on the focusing. But to be honest, like looking at the... Okay. Maybe we could do better on the focusing, because the focusing maybe... Yeah, maybe the focusing is down one on where our picture was. Possible? I don't know. Let's take a screen. And we will go back and try it. Coming back to the Dune board game, there's another mechanic in the Dune board game which I think is, as far as I'm aware, totally unique in that kind of dudes on a map board game. And that is that any deal you make in Dune is a rules binding agreement, okay? It is not possible to betray your allegiances in Dune by the rules of the game, literally. So you can only make alliances, formal alliances with people, when Shai Hulud turns up, which you don't actually have any control over, and it happens at particular phases of the game. Yeah, binding pacts. So you can only make and break formal alliances at particular times in the game. Other than that, you are stuck with the person that you are allied with, and that can be of benefit to you, or it can be a detriment. Even if you're not in a formal alliance, you can make deals with people. You can be like, oh yeah, you know, if you give me this card this turn, I'll give you 3 spice next turn. But, and I've never really found this in any other board game, those are binding agreements on the rules of the game. So if you say something like really dumb, like, oh yeah, you know, I'll give you 1 spice every turn for the rest of the game, you kind of have to fulfill that promise. Hang on, wait. Sorry, do you know what I've just realised? These 2 dots, they're on the same track as each other? They're both on the outer track. No, that one is the outermost track. Sorry, and then that, and then that, and then that. But that doesn't look like it's... But you can't move these in and out of the rings, so I don't think that forms part of it. But okay, but that one is there, and this one goes here. Weird, okay. And then it's that one that goes there. Oh, maybe we just did it, like, a bit wrong. Right, okay, yeah. We might have just done it a bit wrong. Okay, we are heading to Voltaic. Excellent. Let's go. Oh, that's like... Is it going to be a steampunk world? Let's check it out. Okay, we're immediately starting with 2 directions to go. But these are the training worlds that Atrus has created for Cirrus and Achenar. We've got to be on guard a little bit though, because I don't think there would have been time. There may have been time for the mysterious thief to have changed up some of the puzzles. Okay, we've got a linking book back to Janin. Fine. Don't need that right now. Let me know if the game audio is a touch loud. The music in this section does seem louder than elsewhere, and I can knock that volume down a bit if it's overtaking. It's a bold strategy. Yeah, I mean, it's the hub and spoke model. You know, very popular in a lot of different kinds of games, to be fair. Bit of a bold strategy to go back to the hub and spoke model, because Myst, yeah, had a hub and spoke model for sure, but I don't know, Riven had a much more organic, integrated puzzle design to it. And I would have expected us to continue in that vein, maybe. Another page. It is coming back to me slowly, the knowledge of who I am. How long I have been trapped here. So much of it is blurry, the whole blocks of time still floating in the fog that eats my mind. But if I concentrate, I get pieces of it back. It was the dream that first helped me remember I was lying in the reeds near the tusk. I don't know for how long or how I get there. I am staring at the sky, seeing a man grow out of the cliff. First his head, then his shoulders, then his torso. Sunlight rims his body like a halo. I cannot move. I think that death has finally come for me. The man stands on the cliff with a book in his hand, staring down at the lagoon as if something made him sad. I wanted to call out to him, to tell him it was me he came to find. But my mouth is dry, I can't remember any words, and before I think to stand, he opens his book, puts his hand on the page, and fades to dust. I thought he was a dream. It was only later, hours or weeks later, that I find his swirling book atop the cliff, and when I reach down to grab it, it is real. The fog tried to swallow me then and there, but I held on to the firm reality of the book and did not let it. I did not let the numbness steal my mind. Interesting, interesting. Ha ha ha, on the box art the tower was rotated. Oh wow, fair enough. I think that's possibly the art that I'm using for the thumbnail on on these videos. Okay, so we've got an alternate path down there. We've got a door here. What have we got? Okay, that would be too simple. Okay, the whole door is just one interactable object, so that's fine. Now, of course, our adversary, our unnamed adversary, has been to and fro on these worlds for potentially many years. So we don't know how much of this is still the same status as when he left it. Let's take a screenshot of that one and add it to our notebook. Just paste that in, but I don't think there's anything we need to do with it just yet. Let's go alongwards, because I'm presuming this is going to be another locked door here. But we're certainly somewhere a bit noisier, a waterfall or something. Or maybe like a hydro power station. We've got another... There are 3 more papers to find on Voltaic. He's not our name. Oh, it's Saavedro. Okay. Right, we're going to need to pump this water out to get into there. I mean, the hub and spoke system is very good for giving very clear indication where puzzle elements cannot be taken out of, you know, which is very useful in terms of your backtracking. Like with abduction, it was kind of, you know, or something like Quern, it's kind of fair game to assume, except in Quern when you go underground, it's kind of fair game to assume that anything you can find can be used anywhere. So that opens up a sluice for us. Which, if we then go back here, has indeed drained the water. Sounds great. Let's go. Okay, we've climbed down. We've got a mechanism here. Okay, we're moving something imperceptibly upwards and downwards. In this position, it looks like a pretty good seal. In the other position, it's definitely raised, maybe a little bit like a plug hole. The folks behind this game created a different kind of antagonist than Gen, rather than a bigger, badder version. Yes. Yes, you know, you're absolutely right on that observation. Because Gen was a bit of a maniac. Cirrus and Achenar were also maniacs. Saavedro arguably has been quite wronged, and I am hoping that our not sure what that's doing, but it's now spinning whatever it's doing. What are we doing? Are we going down? No, it's something on the outside is now spinning round. No. Oh no, what are we doing? Right, okay, there's a thing which is spinning there now. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and say that's progress. Whatever it is that's doing. Whatever that's doing, it's probably progress to what we're trying to do. And we've got a thing lit up. Let's go with it, right? Let's not worry about that too hard. That's the sluice, so we don't need to go back in there. Let's go back this way and see if we can find that one and that one. I hope the resolution to Saavedra's story is going to be not a redemption, really, but like a redemption of Atrus. Yeah? Because Atrus, and I was kind of asking this on the subreddit the other day, there is a strong theme in Myst of parenthood and the failures of parenthood and the responsibility that you have for your children. And maybe this is just me coming at it from the lens of a new father who has a very young child. But like, Atrus, the way Atrus writes in his journal, yeah, to basically say like, oh yeah, you know, he talks about his failures with his children, but he doesn't particularly want to unpack it, you know? And so to what extent does Atrus have a responsibility for how Cirrus and Achenar acted, right? Atrus was essentially, from the diaries in Myst, Atrus was essentially just an absent parental figure, right? Just kind of left his kids to get on with it. And the fact that, you know, from the environmental evidence that you can see out there, that they're creating, you know, they're building these massive ornate apartments in the middle of Channelwood, in the highest treetops and stuff. It's like they're clearly, you know, they're building torture devices and stuff like that. They've been doing this for years, totally unsupervised. But the theme kind of goes a little bit deeper than that, right? Because you've got Anna and Gen, and you've got Gen and Atrus and his children. And it's like at every step of the generational story, you've got failures of parents to look after their children adequately or raise their children well. And yeah, and I think that's interesting as a theme. Okay, so we've got pipes we've got things we can spin here. It's not obvious to me that they're doing anything. That one doesn't move. That one moves 360. That moves 360. That moves 360. We've got a gauge here which isn't on. We have a lift which we can't go down. There's a lot to explore in this age, for sure. You like they went back and addressed the fallout from Cirrus and Achenar's actions. It was exciting after so many years since Myst had come out. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I hope that Saavedra gets adequate closure to his story, let's say. Because, like, you know, it's a bit like that Wreck-It Ralph meme, right? It's like, you're a bad guy, but you're not bad guy. But then again, our role as the nameless protagonist here is, you know, we are unapologetically Atrus's fixer. Yeah? What have we put together about his story so far? Well, I mean, we've put together that he's clearly been, like, kidnapped by Cirrus and Achenar, and they've used their favourite snake-in-a-box trick on him. Which, yeah, I mean, he's also got a deceased spouse, for sure. So yeah, it seems to be a bit of a tragic story, from what we know so far. But yeah, I mean, our role, we're Atrus muscle, right? We just go around like fixing Atrus problems. He hands us a journal, and we ask very few follow-up questions. That's our character's role in this story, it seems. Okay, so we've got some buttons and switches down this path, which need some thinking about. Down that path is a door that we can't open yet, but we probably will be able to once everything is lit up. Over here is where we dropped into the age. And what do we have? We have... I mean, this looks like it should rotate or extend to us. That's now running. And we have a few of these doors which we haven't been able to open yet. Again, this looks like it's a single interactable object. Like, I don't see any distinction between this thing at the top here and the handle on the door. And I don't see any other interaction elements here. You wish they'd given Atrus a more important role in the game. Once Cyan stepped aside, he became more and more helpless. To be honest, Atrus has always been helpless. You know? Like, he was imprisoned in a Denis cave in the first game, and in the second game, he's stuck furiously writing to stop Riven tearing itself apart, whilst we go and solve the problems for him. So, you know, Atrus is... I mean, to an extent though, there's a good thing, right? Like, Atrus is not... You know, he might look a bit like Ewan McGregor, but he's not Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? Like, and I think that's good. He's flawed. He's a flawed character that isn't all-powerful. He has weaknesses. He has constraints under which he has to operate. So, you know, I think it would be to a detriment to write Atrus as this character that can, like, swoop in at the end and solve everyone's problems for them. Okay. So, we're kind of at the end of our exploring phase here. We've got a little platform here, which implies that this is where we should stand to do a thing, but we've got a switch which is off-center to us. We've got a boat up here that we can't quite get to, and we've got a thing up there that would seem to make sense to try and get to. It would feel, therefore, like we should be able to move these around to get this dial to move so that we can ride this upward. But we're having a little bit of a struggle to get it currently to do very much of anything at all. Maybe because this valve does not have the power to be able to stay on, and we have to do this in the correct order. We've also got a broken bridge here, which certainly isn't going to help us either. Rand has been always super self-conscious about his acting, though I think he does a fine job, and it was always kind of like pulling teeth for them to have him come in and record the footage for later games. I'm glad he still did it. Having anyone else play Atrus would just be weird. Yeah, that wouldn't have been ideal. Wish he contributed somehow. In Riven, he was holding the world together for us, but this time he's just absent. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's. I mean, if it's a tricky one, right? Yeah, if he feels self-conscious about his acting, I think it's great that he still came back to reprise the role. And I do understand that, you know, if he's feeling awkward about it, particularly as the community moves on and as time moves on, like, bear in mind, we're thinking about, like, an era which is 20 years ago, and gamers and gaming culture haven't always been filled with the most wholesome individuals, right? And if you're acting alongside actual professional actors by this point as well, like, your game series has become successful enough that you're getting actual actors to play parts, and you're there sort of as the leading man because of the virtue of the fact that, you know, you recorded yourself saying some lines 10 years ago for the first game in the series. I can kind of understand, like, where that reticence comes from, for sure. I am glad he reprised his role. I think it would have been super sad to have someone else just turn up and play Atrus, you know. I think I agree. I think I agree with both of you on that point. Fair, he feels that quite keenly, does he? Okay, yeah. No, I understand that. Okay, well, we're going to have a bit of a think on this puzzle because, my friends, it is time for us to wrap up this episode. So, a quick goodbye to those of you on YouTube in the future. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Myst III Exile, the sequel to Riven. I'm really enjoying this one. We're on Voltaic, and, well, for the first spoke in our hub and spoke model, this one is definitely getting us pretty stuck pretty quickly, but, you know, we'll persevere with it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. As I mentioned earlier on today in the Twitch, we're going to take a break for a week because it's Christmas time. I hope you guys all have a great Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'll see you guys soon. Bye for now. For those of us on Twitch, we're going to go and we're going to raid. If either of you guys have